Good evening, sir. Thanks very much for your time. Now, you held this meeting with political parties yesterday, where you're really taking them through, the principles, of behind the regulations of party election broadcasts, political advertisements, and so on. What exactly was the intention of that meeting, and what was the message you were giving to political parties?
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity. I think yesterday's events were actually preceded by a national roadshow, where in September last year, ICASA embarked on a roadshow to all 9 provinces to inform various role players, political parties of the process, and to solicit their inputs in as far as regulation making is concerned. So under normal circumstances, what took place yesterday shouldn't have been news to anyone, because it was a culmination of a process informed by the inputs of the very political parties. Now, yesterday was specifically marked for the allocation of PEBs, the party election broadcast slots. Those slots are for free of charge. We give them to all the political parties, the 48 who will be contesting in the national general elections, and we then dissect them into 3 categories. The one category is the basic allocation, where we give each and every political party. There's another category for more like proportional representation, or the one that talks to the current seats held, and then proportional distribution. The third category then talk to the number of candidates fielded, both nationally and provincially. So all the parties that were present yesterday received something, and those who were absent, we also gave them slots through proxies.
Now, this is through the National Public Broadcaster, because of the public service obligations that the South African Broadcasting Corporation's television and radio platforms have. Now, I'm emphasizing this because there seems to be an assumption out there among political parties that all broadcasters actually have an obligation, to give them that as well.
Yes, no, we really clarified. We said by law, the SABC is obliged to carry PEBs, but all other broadcasting service licensees who have a keen interest of carrying the PEBs can just notify us by writing and then adhere to the prescripts of how they need to conduct those. So the door is open to those who voluntarily want to take part in those. But by law, the SABC as a public broadcaster.
And the parties understood that, or at least you did your part in disseminating that information, hoping that they understood that.
That's correct.
But then you're saying, when you were doing your road shows, what were their concerns? What were the issues that they were raising about South Africa's broadcasters?
Yes, I think, where it relates to elections in particular, the way the Act is crafted, the Act is clear, the Electronic Communications Act, Section 57, subsection 4, which we even encourage them to read because it really helps. It talks about, equitability. Even the way we distribute the slots, it's in the principle of equitability. And I think as South Africans, we are familiar with what equitability means because it's the question of fairness and the question of proportionality, both in South African law as well as in international precedents. So that was the issue which we clarified then and we even clarified yesterday. But the biggest issue, the biggest takeaway that we picked up was that some of the parties did not attend the provincial roadshows. They arrived yesterday with an expectation that we will open the door for debates and other things. And the purpose of yesterday was not a workshop, but it had a very specific...
Maybe there's a need, then maybe that suggests that there's probably a need to do more than you have done so far.
Annually, in our annual performance plans, we ensure that ICASA visits each and every province in our country to just alert the public, because ours is nothing else but a public interest mandate to alert them. So the message will never be enough, but we really, and we've been doing it for the past at least 3 financial years consecutively.
Now, here's the irony, or of it all, that the morning after you had all these political parties and you made it clear to them what the criteria is for them, the basic allocation, both nationally and provincially, the number of seats that parties currently hold in both the National Assembly and in the provincial legislatures, as well as the number of candidates that they field nationally and provincially. And in spite of all the clarification and the rules of engagement that you discussed with them, there was that event this morning where, the SABC was holding a debate, and apparently it stemmed from people actually demanding more time or demanding to be on the panel and so on. Something we have also been getting in the debates that we've done so far, where political parties insist on being featured.
Yes, we work closely with the IEC. Both our institutions are those of, Chapter 9 institutions supporting democracy. And I think the issue should be confronted for what it is. I think it's an issue of political tolerance. We really need to dig deep as a country to make sure that regardless of our political, ideological difference, there's a lot of tolerance that we exercise. I happened to watch that particular debate in the morning, and I was actually shocked and, to see that more or less I could identify faces of people who were at the ICASA yesterday in Centurion. They were at Hout Bay, and unfortunately some of them appeared to be participating in those disruptions. So I think it's the question of political tolerance, because there is no amount of messaging we can use if people within their ideological ethos do not see fit to have the right degree of decorum and, by extension, political tolerance.
That's where we're going to leave it for this evening. Thank you very much for coming through. ICASA's acting chairperson, Kiabetswe Modimoeng.